ECG part 2, in which we're going to discuss about basically the analysis of ECG. As in the previous video, I told you the basic concept of ECG. So let's see with the analysis of ECG. So in the main point which I'm going to here tell you, by counting QRS complex, when we are going to count the QRS complex, we can calculate the number of heartbeat or number of cardiac cycle. So if I can here write by counting QRS complex, QR complexes, by counting QRS complexes, this means that we can easily calculate the number of heartbeat, and the number of cardiac cycles, number of cardiac cycles. Fine. So if a now let me tell you another thing. For suppose if here I'm going to draw that simple diagram. P, Q, R, S and T. So if the statement is if QR wave is enlarged, then which thing happens? जब ये P wave क्या हो जाए enlarge हो जाए. If P wave enlarged, if P wave enlarged, then what will happen? This means that more sodium is entered into the cell. This is simply means enlargement of arteria. As P wave represent arteria systole, so this means the contraction of arteria. Enlargement of arteria is simply what? When more sodium is entered into the, so we can say cell. More sodium entered into the cell. Entered into the cell. Fine. Another thing we have, if we have what enlargement of R wave, this one R wave. If we have what enlargement of R wave. Okay, if R wave is enlarged, so what will happen? As R wave represent basically what enlargement of ventricle. So this means ventricles are enlarged. Okay, ventricles क्या हो गए enlarged हो गए. Third is depression of T wave. If T wave is depressed, what we can say depression of T wave. This means that lesser oxygen is applied to the heart. The proper oxygen is not applied to the heart, nor supplies to the heart. So this means in that condition, the T wave is depressed. If T wave depressed, this means lesser oxygen supply to heart. Fine. Okay, so here we are going to now see the analysis of segments and intervals which are present in the, we can say this wave in the ECG. So yeah, I'm going to write. Okay, so now we are going to discuss the analysis of segments of intervals, how we can easily analyze. For suppose this is what I have one wave. With the wave which I have simply drawn, and you know that this is what here till here. Here to here we have what? Here to here we have which complex? Here to here we have only P to R complex. Okay, and this is what? This is R, this is F, this is T. So here to here we have what? Here to here we have ST complex. ST complex, fine. And this whole is what? From here to here we have what? Here to here we have QT complex. QT complex segment, you can say. when QT segment. Now, if I am going to tell you if PQ represent what, the time in which artery get depolarized. Now this PQ represent what? PQ represent time in which artery got time in which arteria depolarized. Arteria depolarized. Okay, when arteria depolarized. And the wave of depolarization reaches ventricle, or that wave is reaches to the ventricle, means this means that wave is reaches to the Q complex, which is ventricle segment. Fine. So now here we have another. If we are going to do the length, if we are increasing the length of PQ, this means the lengthening of PQ will simply mean the tissues are damaged. What? When we are increasing lengthening the PQ, this means what? Tissues are damaged. Tissues damage. And when these tissues are damaged, so this means CAD, less blood supply goes to our heart, and this is the, we can say, disease or problem which may occur. Less blood supply to the heart. Fine. And if I do talk about this QT segment, okay, if I do talk about this QT segment, so QT is basically, here it represents what? QT segment represent the time in which ventricle depolarize. QT time when ventricles depolarize. Okay, and if I'm going to do the lengthening of QT, if I'm increasing the length of QT, so the lengthening of QT will also occur as what? Tissue damage. Tissue damage. Fine. So after that we have, yeah, this is ST segment. So now let's talk about this ST segment. So if the ST segment is elevated, means if this ST segment is elevated, become more like this. So this means more, we can say, more chances are to be occurred the heart attack. This means the big tissue dies when ST what elevation take place. ST elevation take place. This means more chances of heart attack. Chances of heart attack. And actually, what happened? The big tissue dies. Big tissue damage. Damage. Fine. After that, we have what? Now, if this is depressed, if it is not elevated, it is totally depressed. So this means the less oxygen is supplied to the heart. Less oxygen supplies to the heart. So this was all about the analysis of segments of, we can say, intervals of ECG. So I hope so that it is clear to you guys. So in the next video, we're gonna discuss about furthermore some points of ECG, and we will be going with the heart furthermore info. Bye bye.